Setting up.
Good morning. Welcome. We're here at Center for Spiritual Living, St. George, in the beautiful red rocks and red dirt and sand and mud. But we're so glad that you're here and that you joined us. We here at St. George are we are an open, loving, and inclusive community that supports thinking creatively and living a deeply spiritual life. My name is Gwen Hadley. I have the privilege of being the president of the core council here at St. George CSL. So again, welcome, welcome. Before we start, did any of you see the full moon last night?
Yes. Yes.
It was wonderful.
Beautiful.
You know, the last 2 days here, we get a lot of wind, as you all probably noticed, and it had been windy and things had been blowing and noisy. My chairs are tipping over. But we went out last night and it was so calm to look at the moon. I took my husband. For those of you that don't know, his name is Kelly, or sometimes Roy. We actually, just as a side note, celebrated our 48th wedding anniversary Wednesday. So I digress, but at any rate. So we walked out to look at the moon and it was calm and quiet and you could hear the crickets. And I thought, wow, I wonder who else in this community is experiencing this wonderful energy in this moon. And I thought, wow, even though we're all in different places, we're experiencing this together. And then I thought, wow, okay, maybe this is what's happening with us at CSL during this crazy COVID time. We're all out and separated, but as we come together for this service, as we come together to seek spirit, we really are one to come and meet with the one. So at any rate, we miss you. On behalf of the core council and all of the practitioners, we're glad you're here. Now I'd like to tell you who is here. We have this teeny tiny group of hardworking, diligent people that work so hard to have this service come to you every single Sunday. So I'd like to introduce them. To my left, Cheryl Barlow, who is our artist in residence and music director, and her beautiful daughter on sound, Gracie. So thank you. We have Marina out in front, and she is doing slides and camera and everything tech. So grateful to have her. To my right is Mary Klein, our wonderful practitioner. She is going to lead the invocation and then do the sacred reading. So with that, Mary, would you like to come up?
Sure. Come together, heart and soul, as we love together. Young and old, we will sing together, together in one song. Come together, from different worlds we are drawn together. In our own way we can pray together. Together we are strong. I see God in you. You see God in me. One path one vision, one family. Come together, dreams in hand, we will join together to build a place we can grow together. Together we are home. I see God in you. You see God in me. One path, one vision, one family.
Good morning. We're in a new month, June, which means calm or mild when you go back to the Anglo-Saxon times. So therefore, we have a new monthly theme, mindfulness, and this week's theme is just breathe. So I'm going to ask you to just quietly sit if you can. Close your eyes and just take a nice deep breath in. Slowly let it out. And again, I breathe in, knowing that the breath I take is God, Spirit, Source, and life itself in action. I know this is truth for me as well as for all of you. This breath, the breath of life, is the very perfect of life in action. Every plant, every animal, every person breathes and is the action of the divine. Even the oceans as they become waves, and the rivers as they flow, the stars and planets move in the breath of the dance of life. I consciously align myself with this divine life. I let the breath move into my thoughts and my body. In fact, every cell and fiber of my being. I let the peace that God is, I am, permeate through my entire being. I remember with every breath that there is only one power, and it is the power for good. It is that which creates and maintains and sustains all life, mine, my loved ones, and in truth, every single being. I choose to know that this one is holding me and you in the perfection of life itself. Source listens to our hearts, longing for the healing of our world. In this time of knowing, I speak my word for all who hear this, for who choosing to allow this time of uncertainty to grow us and heal fears we didn't even know existed. I know that gratitude for all that currently is a tool we use to align us with breath, with life. I know that every person is held in the hands of love, and it is the truth, the very place where love shows up, where peace shows up, where wholeness shows up. I know that the only truth is love, peace, perfection, and wholeness. I know that this time of perceived separation is truly a time of deep, deep connection to the divine in our hearts. With deepest gratitude for the love, the life, the wholeness, and the oneness that I am, that we are. With deepest gratitude for the peace that is, I release this word into the one that already has said the sacred yes to the wholeness that is. Knowing this unfolding as gracefully and as easily as possible, In the perfection of oneness, I let it go. I let it be, knowing it already is. And together we say and breathe, and so it is.
Come together, heart and soul, as we love together. Young and old, we will sing together, together in one song. Come together, from different worlds we are drawn together. In our own way we can pray together. Together we are strong. I see God in you. I see God in you. You see God in me. One path, one vision, one family. Come together, dreams in hand, we will join together to build a place we can grow together. Together we are home. I see God in you. You see God in me. One path, one vision, one family. Come together, heart and soul, as we love together. Young and old, we will sing together, together in one song, together in one song, together in one song.
Thank you, Cheryl. That was beautiful. I'd like to talk a little bit about the sacred reading and the sacred covenant and where that came from. We've been meeting as a group, trying to vision and pray and trying to find the best qualities to bring our new minister here, like we did for Reverend Laura. So it's been quite a process, really a dynamic process. And so it was, we wrote this sacred covenant. It was a collaborative work to try to initiate and send out into the universe everything we wanted in a minister. And what we plan on doing, Mary will do this. She'll read the sacred covenant as her sacred reading today. And we plan on reading it every single Sunday. And we would love it if you out there would read it with us. I think it's so powerful when we all read it together. So with that, Mary will come up and do the sacred covenant.
There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. In knowing that I am one with this life, I know I am one with all of its blessed expressions, which include the presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest purpose of my new minister is to express God, I therefore know my new minister reveals wholeness. I further know that my new minister is the fulfillment of that which we believe, for it is written. Let us learn to draw the divine substance down into our own lives, and as freely as it has been given to us, let us give it to others. Thus alone shall we be made whole. By Ernest Holmes. As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister revealing before me as growing the center in joy and prosperity. I intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing the truth about myself. For I live the presence and the law of God. I demonstrate wisdom through a mature understanding of the wholeness of life. I am accountable and willing to take full responsibility for my actions. I participate and support the nurturance and guidance of the community. I act from wholeness and congruence in thought, word, and action. I walk the talk. I embrace and think what you personally are wishing for this. I now accept the highest expression of a new minister in my life, knowing that they are revealed in a way that expresses God and serves the highest and the greatest good for all who are touched by their presence. I am grateful, and so it is.
So Home Office at Centers for Spiritual Living released an official statement regarding racism in the United States. And you can read the entirety of it on our Facebook page. And it is up here. I know you probably can't see that either, but it is on Facebook. And I'm going to read out this specific section, which says, we call upon ourselves and the faith communities in the United States to take action that shows we have heard the cry of suffering and we own our responsibility for it. Whether that action is prayer, donations to organizations that promote racial justice, rigorous self-education, or active engagement, let not this moment in history pass unattended. May the actions we take be steeped in peace and respect for the sacredness of each life, knowing that whatever we do individually and collectively must be divinely directed from a higher consciousness. When we apply our proven spiritual principles through rigorous practices and compassionate action, the desired results cannot fail to demonstrate. Not so coincidentally, our theme for the month of June, as you've heard, is Mindfulness for Mavericks, and this week's focus is Just Breathe. Focusing our breath and breathing intentionally helps us to monitor our state of mind. Breathing calmly and deeply can return us to peace and to thinking clearly. It helps us anchor to that spark which burns at the center of our soul so that we may continue to grow in our unique self-expression. And that sounds like a mindful maverick to me. This song by the ex-ambassadors reflects a similar message. Run away, away with me. Lost souls in revelry. Running wild and running free. Two kids, you and me. And I say, hey, 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 living like we're renegades. Hey, 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 living like we're renegades, renegades. Renegades. Long live the pioneers, rebels and mutineers. Go forth and have no fear. come close, the end is the end. I said, hey, 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 living like we're renegades. Hey, 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 living like we're renegades, renegades, renegades. All hail the underdogs, all hail the new kids, all hail the outlaws, Spielbergs and Kubricks. It's our turn to make a move. It's our time to make amends. It's our time to break the rules. Let's begin. I said, hey, 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 living like we're renegades. Hey, 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 living like we're renegades. Hey, 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 living like we're renegades. Hey, 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 living like we're renegades. Renegades. Renegades.
Wonderful. She's charged my batteries. I don't know about you guys. That's a great and perfect song. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce Joe Kovach. He is a practitioner. He's been with us before. He's been in the stereo school, and soon will be Reverend Joe. So congratulations. We're excited. So he's been here in person. He comes to us virtually from Las Vegas. He's a wonderful speaker and just a joy to listen to. So welcome, Joe. Take it away.
Thank you, Gwen. Thank you, Centers for Spiritual Living, St. George. You know, I love to be a part of your community, even at distance in Las Vegas. I've been there several times with my family. And I just want to take a moment to shout out to my wife and kids who are on a small vacation up in Utah. So not too far away from you, up near Park City. So hello, everyone. I love you. And I love you, CSL St. George. And I'm so happy to be able to have this opportunity. And what a great month title, Mindfulness. I love it. And just breathe. And in a minute, let me share my screen here and get my PowerPoint up for y'all. There we go. So my title talk is By Conscious Choice. So I want to tell you a minute about how I came up with that talk title. So most of the time when I'm asked to talk, I try to pick according to the title of the talk. They usually give it to me and what comes up for me. And so for whatever reason, as in my meditation, I kept thinking of this movie. And if you're old enough, you may know it. It's called Say Anything. Back in the 80s, maybe early 90s, it stars John Cusack. And in the film, he is a teenage boy, a lot of angst, tough life growing up. And in this particular scene that kept coming to me, he had been dumped. He was in love, and the girl, in his mind, for no reason, had her own reasons, and dumped him. And he's driving around in his car, talking into an old-fashioned tape recorder, like expressing to himself and just talking, you know, getting it out. He's caught up in that circumstance. He's in pain. It starts raining and he's just lost. So he's like, he says the phrase, well, maybe I should go to those, hang out with those guys at the gas and sit because they always know what's going on about women and so forth. And so he heads over there and there's this group sitting on a curb at the gas station. These are where he's going to get his worldly advice from. And they're talking and he finally asks them, you know, if you guys are so wise and have all this wrapped up and you know how to get women, you know, what are you doing here at a gas sip at like 11 o'clock at night on Saturday? And in that moment, there's just dead silence. Like you can see that it took their breath away. And then the one guy says, by conscious choice. That's why we're here. And the others are like, yeah, that's why we're here. And that struck me because something as simple as breathing, we take for granted. And I hope that this message today is something simple and yet affects you profoundly, because that's to me the best remedy. Keep it simple, but yet it be a profound message. And so the first quote that I'd like to share with you today, of course, comes from Ernest Holmes, Science of Mind. And he says, human life is the incarnation of God in man. With every indrawn breath, we breathe in life. And with every outgoing breath, we give it forth. The lungs are constantly renewed by every respiration. With every new inspiration of thought, we appropriate something of God. With every outpouring of life, expressed in faith and good deeds, we are expressing God. When we associate our breathing with the very life and light of God, nothing can retard the flow of life through us. Now, if that's all I showed you was this one quote, I could probably do a full 20 minutes easy on that. So let's break it down a little bit here. Human life is the incarnation of God. We believe this in religious science and science of mind and spirit, that we are beautiful aspects, divine expressions of God. And yet, with every time, every breath we draw in and every breath we go, we are being given and expressing life through ourselves. With every outpouring of life, he says, expressed in faith and good deeds. Okay, so it's not just breathing in and sitting there. We must, in a sense, be part of this physical world. We can't just go up on a high on a mountain and away as a hermit and live alone. Okay, we're here to be part of this world, of everything that's going on, all the circumstances right now. Whether it is similar to John Cusack in the movie, you're going through a breakup, you're going through some hard times, and let's be real, all you have to do is turn on the TV right now to be caught up in the circumstances. And yet there is an answer. There is always an answer, and we always know it is the divine answer. And we always believe in this teaching, in this beautiful philosophy, that life is happening for us and through us. So good is happening through the breath. Ernest Holmes then says this. He says, it is written that the breath of God animates creation with the living presence of a pure divinity. So we are divine. It says this. We know this. In all the holy books, it says this. What breath are we breathing other than this true breath, unrestricted, flowing through the channels of pure receptivity from the infinite intelligence and the perfect life of God? So we know that there is one. We believe in oneness. We believe in wholeness. And so if there's only one, then our breath, again, must be that. And in my studies to be a minister, I'm in the middle of a quantum physics and spirituality course. And it is amazing how the new spirituality is, in fact, being proven through science. It is absolutely fascinating. And so there's, as we'll say, physical facts to back up what we read about. And hopefully the idea is to take this knowledge of the brain, and turn it into wisdom through personal experience. Because I can stand up here and I can be excited because I know and I feel the power of my breath. And yet, if we don't take action, okay, then we won't experience it. We know this. Science of mind doesn't believe in death, but death of the physical body. So when we're talking about life, we're talking about, yes, we know that we are eternal. We know that we come from an infinite source of well-being. And yet here we are in this physical time, space dimension being expressed in a manifest way, in a physical way, so that we have an opportunity to feel and sense and all that, that creation that is in our minds. We get to express and feel that in the physical world. So breathing, obviously, if we don't breathe with our lungs and so forth, then we won't be expressing here and now, at least in the way that we know. So he continues on, he says, let your thoughts dwell not on breath, nor lack of breath, but on that which breathes. Sense the freedom of this God life flowing in and through you. So let's talk for a minute about this flowing, because think about a time when you're in that state of flow. You're in that zone, as they say. You're being absolutely ultra creative, and time stands still. And it's just, you're expressing, and you're probably not even aware of what's going on. It's just a beautiful giving and receiving. You're not there. You just feel alive. And then let's take another stance. Let's say you turn on the TV and something takes your breath away. Maybe you're in a state of sadness or depression, and we feel that restriction inside of us physically. And we also know this mentally, because it's hard for us to be creative when we're feeling restricted. Okay, so it's important to recognize our breath, to be aware of our breath, so that we can be open to the receptivity and the infinite intelligence that God and Spirit is. If we want to have a freer, fuller, more expanded life, it comes through breath, and it comes through us. So awareness of our breath is key. So I want to read that sentence again. He says, let your thoughts dwell not on breath, nor lack of breath, but on that which breathes. Sense the freedom of this good life, God life, flowing in and through you. That's a powerful statement. So now let's take a look. I highlighted this next part in a bright color because I believe this is a beautiful and powerful affirmation. It says, I breathe in the eternal life essence. By this breath, I am purified and made strong. I am freed from the belief in anything unlike perfection. So as we know that science of mind is a practical philosophy, I'm going to ask you now, wherever you find yourself right now, unless you're driving, but focus for a moment. Take a deep breath in consciously. Breathe it in. Hold it. Feel it. Release it. Now we're going to do that one more time, and then I'm going to ask you to join me. I'm going to repeat this phrase, this affirmation. And I hope you can maybe take a picture of it and take it with you because it's powerful. So let's breathe together as a community. CSL St. George, one more time. Breathe in. Hold it. Feel it. Release it. And begin. I breathe in the eternal life essence. By this breath, I am purified and made strong. I am freed from the belief in anything unlike perfection. Now breathe again. I guarantee you, you're going to feel different. You're going to feel the tingling. You're going to feel a sensation because you've opened up. You're allowing this breath not to be restricted, but to flow through you as who you are. I think the value of freedom is one of my highest. And just even reading the words free, I am freed from the belief in anything unlike perfection. To me, that opens up any restriction. I believe in a source and a God that is all powerful. That is one. If there's only one, then there can be nothing against it, only for it and with it. And I believe in this. And obviously Ernest Holmes did. And he knew the power of breath in man. So powerful. Again, I hope you're able to take this affirmation with you. So then here it says, again, science of mind. Every breath you breathe bespeaks of your eternal alliance with life. Now, I wanted to I wanted to share this particular line with you. Because sometimes when we talk about oneness and that we're divine in human form, I don't know about you, but sometimes, especially in the beginning, that was a stretch for me. It sounded good. And sometimes we get caught up in words. And one of the beautiful things I enjoyed about this teaching, at least the way I was brought up in it, was my teachers would say, if you're reading something, you hear something, and you can't get past a particular word, then change it to something that works for you. So remember, there is knowledge, but there is wisdom, and you have to do it your way. Yet, I wanted to share this with you because I like the word alliance, that I'm in alliance with the divine. Thomas Troward says we are divine distributors. That's another phrase that I like to use. Because sometimes when you think of all that is, in the little old me, that could be overwhelming. And it sometimes even I'll say that, you don't feel the freedom. You almost feel the separateness of it and me. But we know there's only one I. So as we breathe, think of each breath as an example of the alliance between that which we call God and our very selves, our individual selves. Every breath in and out is an alliance. It's not a contract. There's nothing we have to do for it, because there's no question of worth in our lives. You are worthy. There is absolutely no doubt. It's, are we going to accept it? So this next quote, it says, we should grow in the understanding that spirit response to us, becomes more conscious of its presence within us. It is the very breath of our breath, the imagination back of our word. So we're in this alliance with God, and our breath shows that. While we're here, we are able to do amazing things. We open up to it. We become consciously aware of what is going on around us. That's the mindfulness part of this month. Mindfulness. And then I heard mentioned wholeness. I love that word too. And in quantum spirituality, wholeness is what they call an archetype. It's a fancy word for an area of life that we want to focus on and become more aware. But the important thing about wholeness is it incorporates other archetypes together. So maybe think of it as like a value. Wholeness is encompassing all of it. And while we may thrive in one area, we also know there's other areas that we could use some work. And breathing, breath work, acknowledgement of our breath is a simple yet profound way to take steps towards a freer, fuller, more expanded life of our own. I mean, what good is this if we just read and we don't express it again? What good is this if I'm not seeing it in my life? We talked about, I heard somebody mention earlier in the reading about taking responsibility. It's our breath. It's my individual alliance with the Spirit, with God. So the next quote says, I have to move this picture out of the way. We comprehend the infinite only to the degree that it expresses itself through us. Becoming to us that which we believe it to be. Becoming to, that's why, sorry. So with daily practice in our meditations, the realization of life, and he gives a short affirmation here, infinite indwelling spirit within me, almighty God within me, real substance within me, that which is truth within me. So here again, it's talking about the idea that we can only take in to our own level of allowing. And that's an important word, allowing. We're allowing this breath. We're consciously choosing this breath. It's not forced upon us. Why? Because we know that we are in an alliance with Spirit. And we're here just doing our thing. And that is enough. I truly believe that we are all doing the best we can with what we have and where we're at in the moment. And that as a wholeness, as one, we are here to assist each other grow in that best. That is not a finite best, that this is the best I can do and I'm done. No, we put this into practice. And meditation is a practice that we must do consistently to really see the results. Right? And feel free, you have my permission, to do it the way you want to do it. In the beginning for me, it was difficult to sit with my eyes closed and so forth and sit still. So I chose to rock. At first, just sitting, rocking, and then I decided I was going to get in a chair that rocked. And that, believe it or not, for me, that assisted me in going deeper. There's times when I choose to pay attention and just follow my breath as I walk. I work at a school, and one of the things I do to be mindful and see where I'm at is every time I leave one building and go to the next, I become aware of my breath. And I'll be honest, probably 9 times out of 10, I realize I have to do this. Like take a deep breath, because I'm not paying attention and I'm in this shallow state of breathing, which tells me, makes me aware that I'm experiencing a stress and that I'm not allowing this fullness of life to express through me. How simple it is. I just shift, I just breathe. On the way to the next building, I reset. Breathing gives us that moment to reset, no matter what's going on, so that we can respond appropriately for the moment, and not just go on default thinking, habitual thinking. So this, Ernest Holmes in this passage here gives us many different names: infinite indwelling spirit within me, Almighty God, real substance, truth. Pick which one works for you. And if none of those work for you, find the one that works for you, that makes you feel free, that in a sense brings that breath, that life to and through you. So he also says this. He says we should grow in understanding that spirit responds to us and become in consciousness of its presence within us. It is the very breath of our breath, the imagination back of our word, as he says that, and that was previously. And I wanted to go back to that because imagination is so powerful, right? Knowledge is finite. Knowledge is what our brain, our ego knows of what has happened in the past. And it makes predictions to what we see in the moment and the future. Yet imagination frees us. It gives us breath. It gives us life. It gives us that infinite knowing that anything is possible. And so I'm not going to ask you to do it right now, but I do ask you to do it today. At some point, give yourself 5 minutes and close your eyes or go for a walk and just allow yourself to breathe and open your mind to the infinite possibilities. Maybe you want to focus on a particular subject, a particular issue, but just breathe on it. If you recognize that you're thinking of something that had happened, let that go. Let it go. And then allow in the new, because as we breathe in, each breath is new. We're not breathing in the same old, we know this. We breathe in and breathe out and allow that spirit to fill us with life. So I ask you, in the last 20 minutes that we've been talking here, we've somewhere taken between 160 and 320 breaths. Interesting. But how many were you really conscious of? How many times did you catch yourself as I was talking about breath, being aware of it? And it's an interesting thing because it's one of those things when you think about it more, it's almost like it's hard to let go. Like, oh, I have to think about breathing sometimes. And it is in that letting go that we are truly free. Do you realize the power of breath in your own life? Think about that. The power of life. We've heard multiple times in multiple ways that God is life and breath. It feeds our physical life. It feeds our eternal life. Breath is the movement of spirit in this lifetime that we have. Do you realize the power of that? How about taking one now? Take a breath. But do it by conscious choice. Be aware. Be mindful. For we know that God is a good God because it is who I am. God sees through my eyes. God experiences itself through my life. And I know it does the same for you. That is breath and life. The alliance, the infinite knowing, the imagination, bring it all in mindfully to your life, and I guarantee you, you will experience a freer, more expanded life. And if you want to do an advanced technique, as you breathe, feel your emotions, feel the energy within you. If you feel it anywhere, good energy, spread it through your whole body, right? We want to express it, we want to allow it to flow. So again, I thank you, and be conscious, be mindful of everything that is happening, because you are worth it. Okay, I'm going to ask you now, as we go into an invocation, into an affirmative prayer, that we recognize there is one life, one mind, one power, one breath. That breath is the breath of spirit expressing through, as, and in my life, the one life. It is expressing perfectly. There are no mistakes. I get to do things over again. I get to try again because this life is infinite. I know that I am divinely supported. I know that whatever is on the outside of me will change as I change within. So I know that I work to see a life of love, of wholeness. I feel this within myself. I choose to see it from the moment I wake up. I choose to feel it in all my actions. I choose it in every deed and action that I take this day. I am so blessed to know the truth that this life, this breath is infinite. And each time I breathe, I recognize this. I breathe in peace. I breathe in joy. I exhale love. I exhale creativity. I know the power of my breath and recognizing that God supports me perfectly. I absolutely appreciate everything that happens here. I bless CSL St. George, its community, its congregation, the city. I appreciate the technology working perfectly. I am knowing that as we look out into a world, we choose to see it evolving through love. We choose to see people helping people. We choose to see pain healed. We choose to open our minds to new ways of being and becoming love with one another. As I know the power of this prayer, I give thanks and I release it to the law that always says yes. And I ask that you join me in affirming this prayer by simply saying, and so it is. Thank you. Peace.
Thank you, Joe. Your talks are always so thought-provoking, but how powerful and perfect for the times that we're experiencing right now. So thank you, thank you. We love you and we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Some announcements. Just a reminder, conscious giving. You know, we know that there are so many things going on in everyone's life right now, but it's so important that when we do open, that we have a place to come back to and that we can open the doors. We still are paying, even though no one's here, the utilities and water and lights and everything. So please, please, please give. There are many ways you can do this, and I'm not going to read the numbers and how to do this. What I'd like to recommend that you can go to our Facebook page, you can go to the newsletter, and there's all the different ways that you can give by text, online, and snail mail. We'd be happy to have you guys send us a check, whatever works. So please give. Thank you. Next slide. Announcements. Oh, our annual meeting's coming up. So that's on the 28th of June at 1 o'clock. I don't know if we'll have time. It's right after services. So usually we start 11 to 12. So we probably will have time to get a Zoom meeting in, but please join us. We've got some important things to do. We have 2 new core council members that we need to vote in. They're already busy at work, Star and Marina. We put them to work the day they got here. So we want to make them official and part of the team. We want to talk to you too about, we've been working and the main office has given us some guidelines on how we open the center safely. And we know that you're all anxious and we're anxious, but we want to do it safely. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk to you about what we've been doing. The search committee has been working and meeting every single week, writing just everything that needs to be done to bring our new ministers. So we'll update you on that. We're excited because we know they're out there. They know we're here. They're waiting for that call to come join us. So we're excited about that. The Community Care Circle. Please, there are several ways that you can ask for help if you need. if you need prayer, if you need someone to talk to from our practitioners in this time of great need, and please reach out to us and we will reach back to you. Either you can email us, you can call us, whatever you need, and we are certainly there to help fulfill whatever need that you may have. So prayer requests, we're still, again, as the community care, we're not able to go out and actually visit people at this point, but again, a call, a card, whatever we can do to help you. And prayers, if you're in need of prayers, we've got our practitioners more than willing to help and wanting to do prayer for you. So please, please reach out to us. We are here. We have virtual fellowship after with our Zoom meetings. I don't know what we would ever have done without Zoom. Well, we wouldn't be here right now, and we certainly wouldn't be having any communion or social time. But please reach out to us. It's on the link is on the newsletter. It's so nice for those of us that have done this. Besides the fellowship, it's so nice to see our smiling faces. You know, it's been a long time since we've been face to face. So we encourage you to join us. Joe, if you would like to join us too, we would love to converse with you some more. So closing affirmation, we all know this. So let's please say this together.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called love. Love is in my mind. Love is in my body. Love is in all that I do. I am it. I embrace it. And I share it. Just the way that it is. And just the way that it is becoming. Thank you, love.
And thank you for coming again. We're so happy that you could join us. We love you. We miss you. Have a joyous day, and we will see you next Sunday. Namaste.
Namaste.